Hi, my friends. Welcome to God Focus this morning. The title of today's episode is The Pressure of Anointing. Everyone wants an elevation of level in their spiritual walk, but many do not want to go through the trials that grow them to be able to step up a level. Each new level requires us to go through something to bring us closer to God and a new level of anointing. Think about an olive. It doesn't bring forth oil unless the flesh is crushed. We need to press our flesh to give up control. We cannot grow in the Spirit unless we deny our flesh. Jesus went to the Garden of Gethsemane to pray. This was an oil grove that had an oil press. There was no greater pressing than when Jesus was preparing for what he was about to face. Olives are always pressed 3 times. The oil from the first press is used in the temple and for religious purposes. The second pressing was used for cooking oil, and the third pressing was used to light lamps. Jesus took his disciples with him, but left them and went deeper into the garden to pray. It was in this prayer time that he was preparing and being pressed like never before in his life. His human side did not want to go to the cross. Matthew 26:39, and he went a little farther and fell on his face and prayed, saying, O my Father, if it be possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as thou wilt. But he allowed God to press him to accomplish what he needed to do to save all of mankind. He prayed 3 times or was pressed in the oil press 3 times. Each pressing squeezed the flesh of the fruit a little harder. Matthew 26:40-41. And he cometh unto the disciples, and findeth them asleep, and saith unto Peter, What, could ye not watch with me 1 hour? Watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. The spirit indeed is willing, but the flesh is weak. Jesus understood that our flesh is the weakest part of our being. Often our spirit longs for deep things of God, and our flesh does not want to sacrifice whatever we have to give up in order to rise up a level. This is where the pressing comes in. We have to force our flesh into the position that we can be squeezed, allowing God to draw out of us the precious oil that leaves the anointing of God. We cannot take anyone with us on this journey of pressing in or being pressed. It is a personal thing that is between us and God. People can only go so far with us, but ultimately the journey is ours to take alone. But on the other side of the pressing, we will be stronger in our spiritual walk. Matthew 26:42. He went away again the second time and prayed, saying, O Father, if this cup may not pass from me, except I drink it, thy will be done. First, he had to surrender the will of his flesh. That made it easier to stand before Pilate and not say a word. He had the matter settled in his mind before the kiss of betrayal from Judas. Matthew 26:43-44. And he came and found them asleep again, for their eyes were heavy. And he left them and went away again and prayed the 3rd time, saying the same words. It took Jesus 3 times praying to fully release his will to go forth and be punished for the sin of all mankind. Luke 22:39-44. And he came out and went as he was wont to the Mount of Olives, and his disciples also followed him. And when he was at the place, he said unto them, Pray that ye enter not into temptation. And he was withdrawn from them about a stone's cast, and kneeled down and prayed, saying, Father, if thou be willing, remove this cup from me. Nevertheless, not my will, but thine be done. And there appeared an angel unto him from heaven, and strengthened him. And being in an agony, he prayed more earnestly, and his sweat was as it were great drops of blood falling down to the ground. Luke's account is further proof that this was an agonizing prayer. He really struggled and pressed into the will of God. It's hard for me to imagine what Christ suffered for you and me, but it took a lot of preparation to carry out the will of God. He was already feeling the weight of those sins in the garden, but he surrendered the will of his flesh so that his flesh could give up its life's blood for us. Prayer is not always pretty and dignified. Sometimes it's ugly crying and sobbing. Sometimes it's brokenheartedness before God. God is not asking us to endure anything as difficult as Jesus suffered. He does realize it is hard to give up the will of our flesh. He knows temptation and understands what it means to go through a pressing. If we can endure the pressing, we come out of the other side more like Jesus, because his oil of anointing is released in us. That anointing can break any yoke. Catherine Kuhlman said, "The anointing will cost you something. It will cost you everything, but it is worth the cost to be under the anointing presence of God." 1 Peter 4:12 and 13. Beloved, think it not strange concerning the fiery trial, which is to try you, as though some strange thing happened unto you. But rejoice inasmuch as ye are partakers of Christ's suffering, that when his glory shall be revealed, ye may be glad also with exceeding joy. As we overcome different trials, we become stronger. It also increases our joy in the Lord, knowing that he will never leave us and he has seen us through yet another pressing. Philippians 1 and 6, being confident of this very thing, that he which hath begun a good work in you will perform it until the day of Jesus Christ. We have to trust that God knows what he is doing. Just as clay is in the potter's hand is formed into a vessel that he chooses, we are in God's hands. He is patient and will continue to work on us until we are completely formed into the vessel he created us to be. Each trial is pressure from his hand to bend our will to his. Be encouraged when trials come. God is right there with you and will not leave you. The next time you feel the pressure of the oil press, remember that God is getting you prepared for the next level of his anointing. Thanks for watching. Until next time, be bold, be brave, and keep your God focus. Like, share, and subscribe for more encouragement. Have a wonderful day.